My name is Chris Doohan.
Now, I've heard the name Chris before. Are there many Chris's out there?
No, I think I pretty much cornered the market on Chris.
And there's lots of Doohans.
Tons, millions of Doohans everywhere. Yeah, just.
There might be one special, maybe, apart from yours.
Oh, my brother? No.
Another special Doohan.
My
son, yeah, another special.
Oh, my dad probably.
Was he anyone?
Did you ever see that show Star Trek?
Star Wars.
No, not the one with Chewbacca. The other one?
The other one.
Yeah, Star Trek. You're right. I never had the inkling, I should say, to be an actor. I was a singer. I was in bands, lead singer, for years and years and years, probably since I was 17.
Wow.
Still doing some of that today. Right before the 2009 Star Trek movie came out, my dad's fans tried to get me to be the next Scotty for the J.J. Abrams movie. Well, first off, I knew that I couldn't be the next Scotty. I'm too old, right, for one thing. Maybe, get rid of the gray beard and things of that stuff. But anyway, so they did this, but they wrote into J.J. Abrams, and I didn't really think that much, but it was nice, it was flattering and whatnot. And then I was literally driving home from work. I was right next to Universal Studios in Hollywood, and I get a call from the casting agent, and she says, "Hi, my name is so and so, and would you like to be in the new Star Trek movie?" And she goes, "First, you're not going to be Scotty. Let's get that clear. Don't get too excited." But would you like to do it? And I said, sure. But I did have a terminal, stage fright. Even though I had been singing before, when you get up there and sing, you know your lines. They said, well, why don't you come in on Monday? And I didn't realize that it was going to be an audition, right? And I was very sick, actually. I had the flu. So I get there on Monday in Paramount Studios, and I get to the bungalow, and I go in there, and they gave me my sides, something to read to audition. I thought, oh, okay. I had anxiety levels as it was, and so I did that. And then, and I looked at my lines and go, okay, this is easy. Just a couple little things here, a couple little words here. I said, I can memorize this, not a problem. And then literally, at like 5 minutes had passed, and they go, Chris, we gave you the wrong sides. And they gave me the sides with literally paragraphs. And I sat down on the stairs to learn it, and I literally just sat down, maybe read through half of it, and they go, Chris, called me in, and it was terrible. The worst audition probably in history, because I had no idea I was reading it like this, and so obviously I didn't get a call back for a long period of time. But long story short, I went there. It was, I was transporter chief, and then they asked me to be back for Star Trek Into Darkness, and J.J. Abrams gave me a couple lines, which is great. And then also doing Star Trek Continues, playing Scotty, which we completed 11 episodes, and that was just one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And it sort of taught me how to act. When you do when I did the J.J. Abrams first thing, and I was an extra, they put you in your uniform. You don't have a dressing room. You don't have anything. I hung out in this shuttlecraft, just waiting, and and you eat when everybody else eats, and when I was asked to do Star Trek Into Darkness, I talked to one of the producers, and he goes, "Oh, it looks like we bumped you up or something." And I said, I wonder what that means. And he goes, "I don't really know either." And so I get there, and a golf cart picks me up, and Zoe Saldana is in the golf cart too, and they take me to makeup and wardrobe, and it was just like a small trailer, and I said, last time I was in this giant room, and they said, oh, well, that's for extras. And I said, well, that's what I am now. She goes, I don't think so. And I said, well, I think it's all. I don't have any lines. So then they took me to my own trailer with my name on it. I said, this is cool. And right next to Simon Pegg and Chris Pine, and they showed me in the studio, the studio, and I had my own chair. So this is awesome, right? But still, so we filmed all day long, no lines, and then it's like 9 o'clock at night, and you could tell I was doing a scene with Zachary Quino, and they're like pulling up stuff. It's like it's done, and I said, oh, it must be done. And J.J. Abrams comes up to me and he says, so you ready? And I go, what? And he goes, you want a line, don't you? And then he goes, I'm going to give you 2 lines, And I said, great. So I felt bad for Zachary Quino because I think he thought, oh, I could finally go home. And, once that happened, there was another 2 hours at least of, moving things around. And and I apologized to him, and he goes, you know what? That's what we do. We did some vignettes, but I think we had just hoped to do one.
Yeah.
We hoped we could just do one, and we had no idea that 5 years later we'd be doing our 11th episode, and it was just it's mostly thanks to the fans who did all the Kickstarter funding for us, and if it wasn't for them putting anywhere from $1 to whatever, it would have never happened. And I attribute that to just the people behind the camera, for the most part. I mean, we have such a great production staff, and it's so professional, and that's what they all do for a living. I mean, it's not like a fan film, really, where people just pick up a camera, and it was a great experience, and and again, I got some of the stage fright nerves away, and it's been interesting too, is because how my life has really changed. I mean, I'm going to conventions now and talking in front of thousands of people sometimes.
And talking to Trekyards, I mean.
Talking to Trekyards, I mean, the culmination of the events that led up to this day. I mean, this would have never happened, right? That's just and you're British too. It's like that's like icing on the cake. Nothing whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. It was just, let's just do it. Maybe we'll get through it. I knew that they had talked to Michael Forrest about reprising his role as Apollo.
Yeah.
And I thought that's really great, and it was so much fun to do. But seeing those sets for the first time, to change the subject a little bit, I mean, it was miraculous. They're still up there in Georgia. They're just these miraculous
Thank God Ray
sets.
Tessie bought them and kept them going.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I've been there a couple times since we stopped filming. And I just love being there. I love walking in there, and I hope more fans have a chance to go there and check them out, because it's truly amazing. But it was funny though, the first time that I was in the turbo lift, and Scotty, I went to my station, and this was in the first vignette Turnabout Tour, and so I do that, and I just sort of had to stop. Oh my God, this is exactly what my dad experienced. And really no different. I mean, we had the cameras, the lights, the booms. It was all the same sort of thing he did. But all I can remember doing, when first time I saw the bridge, I remember thinking how small it was. When you go back to your elementary school, and everything looked, everything, because you're bigger, and everything looks tiny. It was like, these buildings are tiny. What, same sort of feeling with the set being on it, because when I saw it as a child, 6 or 7 years old, you're coming from a perspective way down here. They look huge. It felt like home, and I felt more comfortable around the people that were there, and I think like Michelle Speck, she sort of says it's like playing in the sandbox with your best friends, when you're a kid. It's just so much fun. But it's at first I told Vic, I said, Vic, you don't have to give me a lot of lines. It's a little thing here and there. I don't care. And he goes, I've never heard anybody come up to me and say they want less lines. I said, okay, and then we got to a certain episode, and I got the script, and there was a lot of dialogue, and I said, Vic, he goes, you're ready. Stop it. You're ready. You know what? When I started, I didn't even think about how I was going to act, or how I was going to, be Scotty.
You're crazy, man. You just took it.
I just did it.
Wow.
And I didn't never even questioned the thought that I just knew how my dad. I knew my dad, obviously, and I knew how he acted, and it never even crossed my mind that I would have to do anything different than just go up there and do what I think is right to do. And somebody says, oh yeah, I could see some of the mannerisms in your dad. You're doing a lot of stuff like your dad, and I said it wasn't planned that way. It just sort of happened. I've known that character since I was 6. So it's like a part of me. And I guess imitating Scotty when I was younger, and I wasn't real happy about trying to come up with a Scottish accent. That was a challenge.
It's good though.
Oh, thanks.
It's good though.
But you know what? I was listening to a Howard Stern show, and Gerard Butler was on, and he's talking. It's just very and I said, oh, I got to record this, and then I realized that that's way too much Scottish, you sort of have to think, okay, it's a Scottish guy, but he's been living in space for 200 years, right? It's maybe, and living around, other people with different accents. It's, you make it your own. It's just, and also, sometimes I would do something with too much of a rolling tongue or something, and the director would say, you know what, forget the Scottish accent here. Just, we need to understand what you're saying. Nothing against the true Scots in the audience. There was one thing that sort of stood out, and it wasn't necessarily as a character, but I just thought it was fun, And it was in the episode Star Trek Continues called Lolani, and we're at this dinner table with Lou Ferrigno, who's this massive character, and Spock is sitting to Scotty's left, and I said I looked at Lou Ferrigno, and this Orion slave trade, and I got, Lolani says you're a brutal monster, and he just starts laughing, but I didn't care because I had a couple drinks in me, right? The Scotty had a couple drinks in him, and I didn't even know that this happened until I saw the actual episode, and and Scotty's doing this, and he takes a drink, he's pouring more into his glass, which I was doing, and pouring more into the glass, and I drank it, and Spock is doing this, looking at me like the last thing Scotty needs is another drink, and they left that in there, and I didn't, I thought I just loved that moment because it wasn't, it wasn't rehearsed to do that on my part or on Todd Haberkorn's part too. But I was just so glad that Vic Mignogna left it in there, and and I said, "Did you do that purposely?" Because he goes, "Oh yeah, that's why it stayed." It was a funny moment, and there was not a word spoken.